Good evening. This is the Village Council regular public meeting. The date is November 13th, 2024. The time is 7:33 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled the same as provided by law of a schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Perrin is absent. Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Whites is absent. Councilmember Winograd.
Here.
Mayor Vagianos.
Here. Will you all please join us in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statement of funds on hand as of October 31st, 2024 be accepted as submitted.
Second.
Reynolds,
Abstain.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move that the Village Council minutes of June 5th, July 10th, July 17th, August 7th, and August 14th, September 4th, September 11th, and September 30th, 2024, having been reviewed by the Village Council and now available in the Village Clerk's office, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. And we have a presentation of our gold level recognition for New Jersey Safe Routes to School program. We are very proud of this. So let's
Go down.
go down into the well and do this. We're so proud. And you are?
Mike Johnson. I'm the manager of the Easy Rides Bike and Pedestrian Program.
That's great. And we have Deanna and
Officer Berlia.
there we go. Ready to go. So we are very proud of this award. We think it's a wonderful recognition of the work that you have done, and we are so grateful for your getting involved and helping our community with this.
All honesty, too, thank you very much.
Take that, and now take the mic.
Well, in all honesty, too, it's not for what we've done. It was a collaboration that we have with the village. With Easy Ride, we're Bergen County's contact for the Safe Routes to School program. And with Safe Routes to School, we promote safe walking and biking to schools, but also throughout the communities. So the recognition is based on what the village did for bike and pedestrian safety between February of 2023 and January 2024. And it was numerous things that the village has done. One, with the police, they've led yearly crossing guard trainings and also crossing guard observation reports for 5 specific areas. Also, the police and the PD were great with collaborating with us and with Dina on 2 separate dates in May and October of 2023. We led 4 Learn to Ride classes for children, 2 bike safe skill classes, and then 2 group rides for a total of 40 kids. So 40 youth were participating in learning how to safely ride bikes. And the police participated by scanning drills and the community ride and helping kids emphasize their signaling and just for bike safety. The police were just great. And the final is, I have to read this too. And the police may know aware of this also too. Not only do you have a complete streets policy in the village, but you also, in 2023, there was an implementation of a Safe Routes to School innovative project called Operation Bright Idea. And that was the final achievement that was provided for us to provide gold recognition. So are you aware of what that is?
Why don't you explain it to us?
I really can't. I can read it over what it is. Would you mind if I read it over?
We don't mind at all.
Okay. This is a particular wording that came from Patrolman Torino. And it says the following. This is what the letter we submitted for gold recognition. It says that the Village of Ridgewood Traffic Safety Bureau identified intersections where high volumes of vehicle versus pedestrian crashes were occurring. The injuries to pedestrians varied from minor to serious bodily injury. After collecting the traffic accident data, it was found that the majority of the accidents, or the incidences, occurred during low-light evening hours within the central business district. Site inspections of the intersections indicated a need for improved nighttime visibility and sight distance for drivers. The Traffic Bureau then contacted stakeholders within the village and created the idea of Operation Bright Idea. The goal of the project was to add focused directional LED white lighting to enhance pedestrian visibility in crosswalks. We presented our plan. This was the village. The village presented their plan with its goals and objectives to the Ridgewood Citizens Safety Advisory Committee. The plan was received with positive feedback by village stakeholders, so thank you for that. Working in conjunction with the Ridgewood Engineering Department, it was determined that contacting PSE&G Electric with the objectives would be best course of action. In a nutshell, to this date, the Village of Ridgewood, in collaboration with PSE&G Electric, installed direction LED white lighting at 11 identified intersections. And at the time, up until January of 2024, since installation, there were 0 pedestrian crashes during nighttime hours at the improved intersections. So that right there just puts you over the top for gold recognition. So that's why, again, we didn't really do it. We were just recognizing the village for all the work that you did during that time frame. And congratulations once again.
Well, thank you so much for all the work that you've done on this. We really appreciate it. Let's give them all a big round of applause. And now let's get some pictures. Lieutenant Chuck was key in all of this. So thank you all so much for all the work that you did on it. We really appreciate it. Great.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Those are the, those are the official entrance to the village.
Okay.
Well, that was a fun way to start the evening. And now let's go to public comment.
Hello, everybody. David Refkin, resident and chair of Green Ridgewood. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could speak just a little closer to the mic, it's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm speaking tonight in Green Ridgewood's advisory capacity about a proposed ordinance on circular driveways and the related impact on flooding. It feels odd to be discussing this subject when we are enduring an extreme drought situation in New Jersey. Since September 29th, we have received only 0.21 inches of rain, or 97% less rain than normal. This is a profoundly serious situation and highlights the need for conservation, but that is a discussion for another day. However, as we all know, Ridgewood has serious flooding concerns. Over the last year, the village has made progress in our efforts to reduce the risk of flooding, including Green Ridgewood provided 20 recommended steps to minimize flooding, emphasizing that this needs to be a multi-pronged effort as there is not one silver bullet. Columbia University graduate students provided Ridgewood with a sustainability roadmap. The village engaged with the Army Corps of Engineers. Green Ridgewood and the council agreed on an enhanced stormwater ordinance above the minimal state requirements to limit flooding. More recent efforts, including promoting rain barrels, installing model rain gardens, and addressing the deteriorating condition of the Saddle River and the Saddle River Park with other communities in the county. It is vital that we continue to make progress on this front and that we incorporate these concerns in all of our efforts in the village, because virtually everything we do has impacts on our environment and can either increase or decrease flooding. There is an ordinance in front of the council for discussion tonight regarding circular driveways. We are glad to see a proposal for circular driveways that will set a future standard. Needless to say, adding a circular driveway means more area being paved over and more stormwater to be managed. With an estimated 40% impervious cover in the village, the last thing we need is more impervious cover, which leads to more stormwater to be managed and increased flooding risk. Circular driveways do have certain benefits, especially on busy roads where backing up onto traffic onto street can be dangerous. Some people may like the aesthetics of a circular driveway, but it may also mean that trees and other vegetation are cut down, and these negative consequences of circular driveways should be considered. Most significantly, adding a circular driveway adds to flooding risk as more of our land is paved over. Green Ridgewood believes that at the very least, any circular driveway added should not only meet the requirements of the new stormwater ordinance, but should also require the installation of pervious pavement. Pervious pavement is being used increasingly by homeowners and municipal governments, including in New York City. By using pervious pavement, rainwater will refresh our groundwater and go through a natural filtering process. Otherwise, by adding more pavement, we are simply making the flooding situation worse and straining our already overextended stormwater system. We have made solid progress to reduce the flood risk since the 3 terrible floods we had over a year ago. Let's keep on making progress in our efforts to minimize the risk of flooding in Ridgewood by requiring pervious pavement for new circular driveways. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, I'm going to close public comment, and we will go to our manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I will attempt to be brief tonight, but I do want to start with the fact that PSE&G has started their resurfacing project here in the village. They started back on November 8th. They have between 15 and 20 roads in the village to resurface following their gas main installation project, and they will be continuing the milling and paving on those roadways through Thanksgiving. If anyone would like a list, please check our social media outlets. It's also been sent out through our e-news, which goes out each Friday from our communications director. But please pay some mind to that because it may impede your morning or afternoon commute. On the Shedler property, we had a meeting yesterday with Matrix, our soil testing firm. We are about 90% there on finalizing the answers to the questions that have been submitted by the residents. There are over 100 questions that were submitted in the first round, and I will tell you that we're probably approaching 75 to 80 questions now in the second round. The first round questions should be posted on the village website for everyone to review by the close of business this coming Friday. We held a roundtable discussion with all 4 municipalities who are serviced by Ridgewood Water this morning. Topics ranged from the PFAS treatment facility projects to the lead service lines that need to be replaced throughout the service area, road resurfacing following some of those projects, and also community outreach. I want to thank Rich Calby and his team at Ridgewood Water for continuing to outreach to the other 3 municipalities who are serviced by Ridgewood Water. I think we made a lot of progress this morning on all 4 of those issues. We also had a meeting this week about sightline issues, and this is an issue that you're going to hear more about as we close out 2024 and enter into 2025. We have had a number of automobile and/or pedestrian accidents throughout the village over the last 2 years. There are some concerning corners where there are trees, vegetation, fencing, different obstructions to sight line when you're coming up upon certain intersections in the village. We have worked to try to compel compliance from residents who are in violation of the ordinance. We've issued warnings. We've tried to work with some of the property owners to correct those corners, and we've issued second warning letters to each identified intersection. At this point, we are moving towards summonses being issued by our engineering department for those who have not complied with the sightline intersections. Probably around 10 summonses have been issued thus far. We are prioritizing based on accident data that has been provided from the Ridgewood Police Department as to how we approach addressing these issues. Obviously, where there's a history of accidents, that's what we want to address first, and then we'll be moving further down the site obstruction list. But if you are a corner property owner and you are not in compliance with the ordinance that allows for clear visibility around those corners, we are imploring you to work with us to try to correct those situations. We put out a notice yesterday that we have started leaf collection and the use of leaf blowers to aid in that collection earlier in the day. We're starting at 5 a.m. now. I do realize that could be a slight disruption for people early in the morning, but in light of the drought conditions and the dangers that exist, and all we have to do is look at our neighbors in Passaic County to see the devastation that can occur when it comes to wildfires, we have expedited our leaf collection. It has been a difficult leaf collection season for a long period of time, month of September, even into October. Many of the leaves weren't falling. Everything dropped at once. As a matter of fact, this came up at the Ridgewood Water meeting this morning as well. And, you know, it was not spaced out. So we do have a significant amount of leaves on the street. Mike Junta in the Streets Division is working through that. But we are going to start earlier in the day, and we just appreciate everyone's patience and cooperation with that. And finally, today, about 4 o'clock, I was advised that tentatively the Kingsbridge Lane pedestrian bridge is going to be removed from the location at the end of Kingsbridge Lane to the contractor's yard this coming Friday. So we put notice out. We let some of the neighbors know over there. They're going to spread the word. The contractor's also going to work with the neighbors to make sure that everything is orderly and safe. But we do anticipate that the bridge will be moved this coming Friday. Just a few announcements. Bergen County Utilities Authority will hold a hazardous waste collection event on Saturday, November 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 at the Bergen County Utilities Authority at the foot of Empire Boulevard in Moonachie. The Village Recreation Department has put out an RFP for a new concessionaire at the Graydon Pool for 2025 with a possible option for 2026. Any interested parties can contact the Recreation Department, and they can also find that RFP on the Village website. Village Hall and all Village offices will be closed on Thursday, November 28th and Friday, November 24th in observance of Thanksgiving. The Recycling Center will be open from 8 a.m. till noon on Friday, November 29th, and East Side rear yard garbage pickup and Area 8 recycling will be picked up on that day as well. The Ridgewood Guild will hold their 15th annual Winterfest at Van Ness Square on Saturday, November 30th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Come join the Guild for music, ice sculptures, storytelling, complimentary hot chocolate. You can also grab a picture with Santa Claus at the Winterfest. Hayride and train tickets are 2 for $5 and can be used for each. The 36th Annual Downtown for the Holidays and Tree Lighting will take place on Friday, December 6th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. along East Ridgewood Avenue. They will have a touch-a-truck, a trackless train, nutcracker dancers in store windows. Santa Claus will also be riding around on a golf cart, and come and enjoy the music and the festivities downtown on December 6th. If you have any questions about that event, you can contact the Chamber of Commerce. And lastly, Village Council upcoming meetings. December 4th is our work session. December 11th is our public council meeting. Those will be the last 2 council meetings for the year. Both begin at 7:30 p.m. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
Sorry. Can you just tell me when the reorganization meeting is in January?
The January 6th, which is a Monday evening.
Okay.
And then the work session will be on the 8th, so
I
they'll be
won't be
separate.
here.
I know. Well, I mean, if you're bored and you have nothing to do and you want to join us. But,
I think I have to be here for the reorganization, but so I wanted to.
Yeah,
to
but
know.
it'll be Monday evening, January 6th.
Okay.
And just for the public's edification, the work session will be 2 nights later on the traditional Wednesday evening.
And Lorraine wants to know because she's catering a party that evening. So, and let's go to our council reports. Siobhan?
Sure. So Lorraine's going to celebrate all those safety things. So first, Keith, that's great about the sight lines. That's excellent, and also excellent about the bridge. So I want to thank the American Legion for an awesome Veterans Day in Van Ness Square this weekend. It was incredibly powerful, moving. There were several highlights. First of all, Commander Louis Francis did a wonderful job, and this year the BF Middle School 6th grade took a walking field trip for Green Ridgewood and walked to the park and participated in it. They had a wonderful speaker named Colonel Michael Lyons from Bradley Beach, New Jersey, which was a treat to meet him here in Ridgewood. And of course, Sally sang, and it was beautiful. I want to take a minute that Chris Stout reminded us all to wish the War Memorial in Van Ness a happy birthday, because it was commissioned in 1924. And so this year on Veterans Day, it turned 100. And a fun fact for everybody in Ridgewood that you should really know this, that War Memorial was commissioned and designed by Henry Bacon, who also designed the Lincoln War Memorial. So that's a big one, it's a big deal because it memorializes a local resident who died by his mother, and he is remembered there. But it's also huge that that architect went on to design the Lincoln War Memorial. And lastly, I want to thank Katie Dixon, who is a freshman in other terms, I don't know what they say, at West Point, who brought many of her fellow classmates. And that was sort of amazing to see a Ridgewood High School graduate as a first year at one of our military academies. So if you've never been to this, next year you should mark it down. It was really awesome. Thank you to everybody who made it happen. It was a holiday for our staff, so I know that Signal set up the audio, and thank you to Nancy, and Paul also spoke, but it was incredibly moving. On Tuesday morning, we had a fields meeting that was very interesting. I want to begin by thanking Zach Pace, who served on fields for many years. His youngest is done with the youth program, and he will be turning over RJFA to somebody to be announced. I want to thank him because during that time, RJFA not only managed the existing RJFA, but expanded into gender equality by the girls program. So thank you to Zach. It was sort of at the end of the meeting, but it was, you know, that's a big deal to do that in a traditional town and add a whole new element of gender equality under football. So thank you to Zach, and good luck RJFA finding a replacement, because he's a class act to work with. In addition to that, we had a preview of our new parks inventory project, which will be coming to the council in December. Get ready. It's really exciting, and I want to thank David Wild and Nancy Bigos for showing that to the committee, which it was received very well. The work will begin on Lower Hawes, where the village owns it, and we're going to be putting grass there. We'd had a long discussion about that, so that area is in need of improvements. We're placing sod, and everyone on the committee was looking forward to that. And then the Board of Ed announced that they are going to be site visiting a new turf vendor that's had more success in flood zones. So I want to thank the Board of Ed for doing that. They're going to go out, and then they're going to come back and report to the committee. It's none of the brands that we looked at during our discussion, so stay tuned for that, and good luck to the Board of Ed. I also just wanted, because Pam's not here and Green Ridgewood is here, this is one of our last meetings before everyone begins holiday shopping. And as you know, we are promoting the sale of rain barrels at Backyard Living. They've come in. You can see some physical examples. And because he already knows this, Mike Winograd is getting one for Hanukkah. It's the perfect gift for somebody.
You ruined the surprise.
He already knows. He knows. But it's an awesome initiative. It's a great project. And, you know, given the drought, if and when it does rain, you'll not only be helping with flood mitigation, but you'll be conserving water. So thank you to Green Ridgewood. Thank you to Backyard Living. And I really do think for people who've been married for a long time and have everything, it's a wonderful gift. I know Lorraine has 2 of them in her yard and loves them. So please participate in that. And that's it.
Thanks, Siobhan. Lorraine?
Thank you. I just want to say to Keith, thank you for really staying on top of the sightline issue. It has been an issue for several years, but I feel like we're finally getting somewhere, and I'm glad summonses are being given out, because I think there are many people who have gotten multiple letters asking them to trim their trees, trim their bushes, and they just don't do it. So if you're out there and you live on a corner property and you know your corner is an issue, please be a good neighbor and trim the shrubs, trim the bushes, do whatever you need to do to make it safer, because we really have had quite a few accidents. I think there's been an uptick in the last 6 months
And
with
if I
corners.
may, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Lorraine, but I do want to thank those who have complied.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
in my report, maybe that didn't come through, but they're probably half the list, generally
Yes.
speaking, that we've reviewed over the last few months. They have complied. They've
Right.
been asked, and they've gone out and they've trimmed down the bushes, or they've done what they need to do to make it safer. So I want to thank those folks, and with the balance of the list, we're going to continue to pursue that, and we're going to pursue it aggressively.
Great, good. And regarding Kingsbridge Lane, thank you for that as well. It's been a long time in coming. I think the neighborhood over there will be thrilled to see the bridge come down, and we will be in anticipation of the repaired bridge to go back up. Let's see, this past Sunday, Project Pride removed all of the fall plantings in the CBD, and Tony Damiano and the Guild, although I think it was Tony Damiano and Tony Damiano, who went through the CBD and put in the white branches to start decorating for the holidays. It looks great. I think there's going to be more added, but, so far, so good. I've been on Project Pride for 4 years. This is my, last event, shall we say,
As an official.
as an official, and it was very small. I only had 2 members of the team there, Tony and Diego, but they've always been there. They've been great. We had several members from Ridgewood High School. There's a group there, Travis, Henry, and Alex, that are part of a group at the high school that like to volunteer for things. You send them an email, give them a date, and Travis is like, yeah, I'll get some guys there. So he showed up with 5 guys on Sunday, and without them, we would have been there for hours. But instead, we were there for like 1 hour, and it was done. It was great. And a huge shout out to Nancy Bigos and Matt Andrula from the Parks Department, who have always had my back and helped me and been there no matter what I needed for Project Pride. And a super special shout out to one of our employees, Scott Delheim, who I think he has signed up for every Project Pride event and helped out, gets the dirty work done, doesn't ever complain, works hard, and he's been fabulous. So thank you, Scott. And 2 other things, I've had some serious issues with my email the last couple months, so I haven't been able to send out emails. I get some, I don't get others, so if you've sent me emails, if I haven't responded, I just want to apologize, I'm sorry. I think we finally got it fixed, so I'm going to hopefully go back and respond, but I know things will be very late, some responses. And then the last thing, I don't know if this is where we bring it up, but I thought David had a fabulous suggestion with the ordinance, with that we should require pervious products to be used on the circular driveways. I mean, is there any way, I know we're supposed to introduce it tonight, is it a substantive change? Because I think that's important. I wish we would have thought about it before.
Sorry, Lorraine. Making that a requirement would be a change that would need to be revisited. So
Okay.
you wouldn't be able to pass this, or it wouldn't make sense if you were considering it to introduce that ordinance tonight.
Could we introduce it and then put it on our next work session agenda to discuss that change, so that if the council didn't want to make that change, then we could just proceed, but if we did want to make the change, then we would just reintroduce it with the change?
You could go about that process if you wanted to.
Okay?
But go ahead, that resets the clock.
Right.
Yeah, it would
that just is something we should have.
And you should wait for the new council if you're
Right.
going to discuss it,
Right.
because they're the ones who are going to have to introduce the ordinance.
I mean, I would like to think, I think I agree with Lorraine, it's, you know, these ordinances, particularly with the green and trees, evolve. And because so much work has been done, and this is like, you know, in the process, I'd like to move this forward and then move towards more amendments, the same way we're doing with trees. Seems to make the most sense. Or otherwise, we table the whole thing, and then it goes back to the reset.
So in my opinion, I mean, I can't imagine anybody's putting in a circular driveway in January, February, March with the weather. To me, it makes more sense to just take it off and bring it up at the first work session in January and, you know, get the ball rolling.
It wouldn't be that anybody put it in, it would be part of an approval
Review.
process in front of one of the boards that might happen beforehand. So as soon as it gets on the books, then it would be mandated in the board, any approval that came in. So,
So we're delaying it tonight and then the 20 days. I'm just arguing the process. I see your
Right,
point.
no,
just-
I
You know,
kinda-
I think the problem is
So
that
you-
anything that's in the pipeline now would
Yeah.
not have to adhere to it till even a future date, which will
Heather's
probably
Heather's
impact
point
spring.
is well taken, that if we introduce it tonight and then we want to discuss it further, you're going to be running it into December, and that's not going to work that way. You're going to just be leaving it to that. So you could do it that way, but it's still going to need to be discussed by the council, by the new council in January.
Well,
So-
that's if we
Not even
amend
if-
it. If we don't amend it, if the, again, and I don't know what the, you know, because we only have 3 members of the council here, so if we don't, if the council decides not to amend it, then it could be done before the end of this.
You'd have to run this again because it's a substantial change. You'd have to run it back to the planning board, get their take on it, and that would just take up some time. You could make them work quickly if you could on it, but it's up to you guys if you want to do
No,
it.
but what I'm saying is if we're going to change it, then it's got to go to the new council. If the council at the work session decides not to change it next week, then
That's not the new council. That's
I
the
un-
point.
No, I understand. Then it would just proceed as is before the new council takes office.
Again, you can run it like that if that's what you want.
Right.
Wait, could I just ask a general question? I mean, like without, I thought Green Ridgewood was completely compliant on this, like they were in on all the drafting. Like, I don't mean to, I thought that's.
I
from-
attended the Green Ridgewood meeting this week, and David and I discussed his coming here to suggest changes.
I don't believe this went to Green Ridgewood. This
What's that?
was-
What'd you say?
I don't believe this went to Green Ridgewood. This came from the recommendations that were made by the zoning board of
Oh,
adjustment.
I was unaware.
Oh, I thought it was the planning board.
No, so what
That's
happens
right,
here
it came
is
from zoning board.
annually, the Board of
Oh,
Adjustment is
correct,
required
correct.
to send a report to the council with any types of recommendations.
Right.
The 2 recommendations for this, well, I think it was started last year, but it
Right, was-
came in this year.
Were fences.
Were
and-
fences
right.
and the circular driveways. So then what happens is, once the council introduces it, then it goes to the planning board, because all zoning ordinances go to the planning board
Okay.
for review and recommendation, and then the council can adopt the ordinance. So we've already spoken to the planning board, only to give them a heads up. But if this were to be introduced tonight, Heather would have to forward it to Jane, and it would have to go on the planning board agenda, so that they can review and recommend before you would consider for final adoption,
When is the next planning board meeting?
first week in December.
Oh, okay.
So it would be before you
Because
would
we're going to
adopt.
vote on this on December 11th.
You're going to introduce tonight, it would go to the
Right.
planning board would look at it, and then you'd consider it on December 11th.
So let's move forward with the introduction and see where we end up, and if we have to, we defeat it on the 11th. I mean, that seems.
you can do that.
Without Pam here, process-wise, Heather, does that seem cool to you? Because that'll allow
Yeah,
it to
that's
keep
fine.
going?
So the one thing I will say is that based on the discussion at the last work session, and I think it actually came up from Councilman-elect Mortimer, who had some concerns about the front yard fencing with special needs concerns and youth concerns and that type of thing, that we have to start up in January.
Right.
Because there's not enough time to do that now. So you could theoretically introduce and adopt what's here, which limits the circular driveways to a certain degree. And then next year, amend it again to include
Just
the
like we did
pervious
with the
surface.
trees.
So you could
Right.
do it, you could
But
do it
do it
that way.
early, do it in January?
Yeah, but I
Sure.
mean, if we're going to talk about fences in January, so we can talk about the pervious piece of the circular
And just to be
driveway.
clear,
I mean, it's a shame we didn't think about
Exactly.
it
Right.
before, but it makes complete sense.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going
Okay.
to vote yes
Well,
tonight
here,
and let the
we're
process
still on
run.
council reports?
Right.
So,
Okay.
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
good. First I want to echo Siobhan's comments about Veterans Day. For those of you who haven't been, you should go. It's just a very special hour at Van Nest, and we were fortunate the sun was shining upon us. It was just lovely. In the I won't call it the shadow of, but right next to the new Gold Star Monument, it just made it even more special. Next, I attended the Green Ridgewood meeting this week, and I have to tell you, it's my first time. I sat in for Pam, and we are so fortunate to have such a well-attended group of people whose goal is to help Ridgewood be as climate-friendly, as environmentally friendly as we possibly can be, and we are fortunate to have these people. There were, I will not go into the litany of so many issues that were discussed, but I will tell you, it is a 2-hour meeting. David Refkin, who is the chairman, kept this thing moving. If it said 6 minutes on the agenda, you got 6 minutes. And once you were 20 seconds over, it was time to go. But I will tell you, it was a wide and varied agenda, and I am so fortunate to have had the opportunity to sit in on that. Finally, Keith and I had a meeting with residents who live on West Glen to discuss what path we're going to take in terms of installing sidewalks. I think everyone has agreed, and we have already allocated money that to install sidewalks there, which are desperately needed. I can't believe it's taken this long. But the issue will be whether or not there are 2 plans. One is to install them on the south side of the street with retaining walls, which is a complex project. The other is to install them on the north side of the street, which would require moving a drainage ditch and DEP approval, which of course represents its own complexities. So we've taken the first step in that, and we're going to be continuing that discussion. Lastly, I'm going to make an announcement that I think has leaked out just a little bit. I came to this town 30 years ago, and at that time, as everyone knows, I opened a restaurant on East Ridgewood Avenue called It's Greek to Me. It has been the most wonderful and amazing ride anyone could ever ask for. I have watched families come from their first date to christenings, bar mitzvahs, all sorts of things, buying houses, and now many of them are empty nesters. I've been doing this for 30 years. It has been the most wonderful, wonderful passion that after my family, this has been such a significant time in my life. Tomorrow is our last day. I am moving on. It is, trust me, it's a personal decision, and it has not been an easy one. It is incredibly bittersweet. The outpouring of affection from the community has been overwhelming and leaves me weepy almost every night since I announced this. But I want to thank this community that embraced my restaurant, embraced me, and welcomed me to this place that I call the greatest town in America. And it has been the greatest ride for 3 decades. There are something like 42,000 T-shirts from basketball, little pee-wee basketball and baseball and such, that bear the It's Greek to Me logo on them. It has just been such a great time. Tomorrow is our last day. I want to thank everyone for everything that you have done to make this a success in my life. Thank you so much. And with that, we will go to our regular agenda. I move the first reading of ordinance 4023.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4023 by title?
A bond ordinance providing for the Ridgewood Water Lead Service Line Replacement Program in the Ridgewood Water System Service Area in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $12,300,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $12,300,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance the cost thereof.
I move that ordinance 4023 be adopted on the first reading and that December 11th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 4024.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4024 by title?
Bond ordinance providing for the property owner lead service line replacement program in the Ridgewood Water System Service Area in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $6,500,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $6,500,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance the cost thereof.
I got it. Hold on. I move that ordinance 4024 be adopted on the first reading and that December 11th, 2024 be fixed as the first date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes.
The following resolutions, number 24-344 through 24-347, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Authorize cancellation of balances in water capital ordinances. Award professional services contract, Stage 3, archaeological data recovery, Cedar Hill PFAS facility. Authorize change order, infrared asphalt surface repair. Authorize execution of memorandum of understanding with U.S. EPA and NJSHPO addressing impacts of cultural resources at Cedar Hill PFAS treatment facility. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 4025.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4025 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 190, Land Use and Development of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood at Section 190-83, Stormwater Management and Flood Protection.
I move that ordinance 4025 be adopted on the first reading and that December 11th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
I just want to congratulate Pam in figure here. Good job, Pam. Yes.
Okay, sorry, Vagianos.
Yes, and I want to also thank Joan Hubertus and David Refkin, who walked us through this, educated us, and were integral in this ordinance coming into action tonight. Thank you so much. Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 4026.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4026 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-4, departmental fees.
I move that ordinance 4026 be adopted on the first reading and that December 11th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes, I move the first reading of ordinance 4027.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4027 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 190 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Land Use and Development pertaining to residential driveway standards.
I move that ordinance 4027 be adopted on the first reading and that December 11th, 2024 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes, I move the clerk read ordinance 4018 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4018?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes.
sorry, I move that ordinance 4026 be adopted on the first reading,
This is
sorry,
14.
second reading, sorry,
4018.
sorry, hold on. I move that ordinance 4018 be adopted on the second reading and the final publication as required by law.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes, I move the clerk read ordinance 4019 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4019?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145-6 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Enumeration of Fees Related to Code Chapters under Chapter 156-70F entitled Outdoor Cafe License, Annual Fee per Number of Seats, to amend the fees charged for outdoor cafes.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4019 be adopted on the second reading and the final publication as required by law.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4020 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4020?
An ordinance to fix a salary, wage, or compensation of and for the supervisory employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4020 be adopted on the second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4021 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4021?
An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation of non-union employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2025.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4021 be adopted on the second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4022 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4022?
An ordinance to amend the salaries, wages, and other compensation and to establish the employee agreement of certain non-union officers and employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2025.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4022 be adopted on the second reading and the final publication as required by law.
Second,
Reynolds?
yes.
Winograd?
Yes,
And Vagianos?
Yes.
The following resolutions, number 24-348 through 24-370, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Title 59, approval, furnishing and delivering sodium bisulfite solution and sodium hypochlorite solution, water pollution control facility. Award contract, furnishing and delivering sodium bisulfite solution and sodium hypochlorite solution, water pollution control facility. Title 59, approval, removal of abandoned underground fuel storage tanks, North Walnut Street parking lot. Award contract, removal of abandoned underground fuel storage tanks, North Walnut Street parking lot. Award contract under New Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System to the lead agency, Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, clean and inspect sewer lines, Hope Street and Spring Avenue. Award professional services contract, New Jersey Licensed Site Remediation Professional, LSRP, removal of underground storage tanks, North Walnut Street lot. Award professional services contract, Public Health and Nursing Services. Award professional services contract, Community Outreach for Shedler Property. Authorized shared services agreement, TV inspection of sewer mains, Northwest Bergen County Utilities Authority. Authorized shared services agreement, municipal vehicles and equipment fueling, Hohokus. Authorized execution of memorandum of understanding with Bergen County for childhood-led program. Authorized execution of memorandum of understanding with Bergen County, various health services. Authorized 2024 budget transfers.
So moved.
No.
I'm sorry.
Authorized
Sorry.
2024
I was
emergency
like,
budget
I'm ready.
appropriation. Accept donation, thermal imaging camera kits, fire department. Cancellation of property taxes, 120 Franklin Avenue. Authorized refund of property taxes, Ridgewood 120 LLC for 120 Franklin Avenue. Partially canceled property taxes, 112 Prospect Street. Approved floodplain management plan, annual report for National Flood Insurance Community Rating System. Declare 436 East Saddle River Road as abandoned property. Declare property surplus, Parks Department, 550-gallon storage tank with legs. Declare property surplus, Police Department, bulletproof vests, and declare property surplus, Parks Department, various vehicles and equipment. Now I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. And we will return to public comment. I see no one in the audience, but I do see several people on hybrid access. Boyd, you're up. You're on mute, Boyd. Oh, there you go.
Good evening. It's actually Ann Loving, Ridgewood resident. I just wanted to clarify something that Councilwoman Winograd said inaccurately. The Lincoln Memorial is not a war memorial. The Lincoln Memorial is a memorial that honors President Lincoln, but it's not a war memorial. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Next up, Frank Mortimer.
Frank Mortimer, Ridgewood, New Jersey. I just wanted to thank Keith, our village manager, as well as Chief Lyons and everyone else involved with working on the sight lines. As you know, that from my campaign, one of my big issues was pedestrian safety, and it's awesome that this is moving forward. It's going to be good for all of our residents, and I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. And last up is Susan.
Hi, Susan Ruin, Ridgewood resident. I wanted to thank Keith today for notifying the resident, my neighbor and I, about the footbridge being removed on Friday, so we can move our cars if needed. Also, I heard so much discussion about the intersections and the obstruction. However, I know that there's several intersections that I don't think there's obstruction, but I'm not certain, but still have a high volume of accidents. One, I believe, is Glen and Northern Parkway. And I know that there are sometimes cars parked for the convenience store that's there. I don't know if that is obstructing people from seeing. So it's not like a lawn that's obstructing, but it's car size obstructing for the accidents. I'm not certain, but that has an increase in accidents. Are they going to be looking at intersections that might not have obstruction, but still have a higher occurrence of accidents? Because I think that's something also that needs to be addressed. For either, I know flashing lights, Hollywood Ave and Hohokus has flashing lights at West Saddle River Road to try to indicate to people that this is a busier intersection and just to slow down. They also have it throughout Glen, thinking about it. But again, maybe there needs to be something addressed to something that isn't just for the site. I'm not certain if it's lawn related, but if it's vehicle being parked there, or if people just go too fast and are being careless obstruction. I'm not certain, but there seems to be a lot of increase of accidents in Ridgewood. And, you know, I'm very sensitive to that because I had 2 serious car accidents when I was little. Neither was I the driver. But it's just something that I wish people would be more alert on. And that's pretty much it. But thank you for everything, especially for that footbridge. Take care.
Thank you, Susan. Seeing no one else, I'm going to close public comment. Would anyone like to respond to any of the comments?
Mayor, I just want to say that the Ridgewood Police Department is extremely sensitive right now to intersections throughout the village, whether there are site obstructions present or not, relative to accidents and where accidents are happening more frequently. So Sergeant Torino and Captain Ender and Chief Lyons have been ahead of the curve on this. They're working daily with our engineering department to make recommendations to improve some of these intersections, whether it be pedestrian crossing signs, enforcement of the sightline corners, whatever it takes to try to create a safer environment. The police department is certainly in tune to those work efforts.
Anybody else? No? Let's entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Ever in the history of council?